I'm Greg Miller from IGN.com, and what do I make of Terminus? I think it's totally fucked up. Like, it is not going to end well for the people who have arrived at Terminus, right? Like, when they walked in at the end of the last episode, and they walked, it's all like ghost town, no one's there, no walkers, and they like finally come around, and there's this like lady who's grilling, and it looks like this idyllic scene. She's like, welcome everybody. No. That lady is gonna eat somebody's face. Like, Terminus is clearly full of cannibals. They're bad people. I wouldn't be surprised if Negan shows up at some point and they just throw you a curveball and really, really screw with the timeline. But looking at this Walking Dead finale, you ask yourself, who's gonna die? Like, who's not gonna make it out? I'll tell you right now, from Glenn and Maggie, from their little group, that's it. Sasha, Bob, you are done. You are going to be eaten. It is over. Tara? Pfft. Whatever, like Tara's already served her purpose, right? She shows up, we find out she's hot, Eugene confirms that for us, thank you, Eugene. She makes peace with Glenn, you know, after basically leading to the downfall of the prison, and then Glenn does the whole thing to Maggie where he doesn't introduce her as, oh, this is the girl who kind of had something to do with your father getting his head cut off. So, I mean, you know her done, her threat is done, she is dead. Bob is dead. Like, we like Bob, right? Like, he had his whole redemption episode of being this cool guy. First, you're just like forever with this Bob character. You're like, you alcoholic, you almost, you know, your love of the hooch almost got you crushed and then eaten by a zombie, and then we all know Bob's problems. But then he had a great episode where he came back, and you're like, oh, Bob's a cool dude. So now we like Bob, so Bob has to die. That's the big one. Bob and Tara are dead. Sasha, I'll go either way on. I'm taking her from the dead camp to the wounded. She'll be wounded at the end of this finale, all right? Because, you know, she's got to see Tyrese again. They got to know that that's happening. Carol and Tyrese have to walk up and be like, all the kids are dead. Sorry about that. One of them was crazy. I mean, the other big thread the finale has to tie up right is the fact that we have Daryl over here with the Claimers, and then you got Rick who killed one of the Claimers. I don't like that the Claimers were so mad at Rick, but I get it. Survival, you know, blah, blah, one of their dudes dies, and then a zombie comes out and kills everybody. It's not cool though, right? Like, anything has to happen. Rick had to do what he had to do, but they won't know this. They're gonna show up. Everybody's meeting at Terminus. I still think Terminus is gonna be full of man-eating people who are no good and like creepy redheaded lady. Not that all redheads are creepy. I don't like that thing because there's a lot of like there's a lot of nice redheads, but I can't think of any nice redheads. I guess the Wendy's girl in the commercial, she seems pretty nice. Anyways, beside the point, they're all gonna show up at Terminus. They'll probably get there right after, you know, Glenn and Maggie are about to be eaten by the cannibal people at Terminus. And then Rick's gonna get there, and then Daryl's gonna show up with the Claimers. They're gonna have that reunion moment, and then the other Claimers, that's the guy who killed that one guy, and he came after all the other Claimers, and then the Claimers leader will be like, well, we gotta cut him in half like that rabbit, and then it'll get weird, and then they're gonna toy around, I'm sure, with the idea, oh, who's Daryl gonna pick? Daryl's clearly gonna go with the group here. He's gonna go back to Rick. He's, you know, that was a great analogy, but the house, you know, the outdoor cat who thinks it's a house cat, Daryl's just a cat, man. He just goes wherever he needs to go.